Welcome everyone to, first of all, welcome to 2025, right? New year. And I promise you, this year on the Herron Talks Podcast, we will actually consistently do our podcast and have one. I mean, not lie, but here's
what are we promising here?
Here's what we're efforting to do is to have at least one of these come out every week, right? Okay. And so we can build that consistency, because every time I run into people, they say, well, where's the podcast? Or I get questions about Bonita a lot. Like where's Bonita? Bonita's not
I'm
here. Well, no, you go missing sometimes.
And can I say something since we're in a new year?
Sure.
I've never told you this before, but I don't like the way you say my name.
Oh, really? Okay, this is okay. Wow. Okay,
let's get it started.
So yeah, okay.
And I think I listened to a podcast one time. I'm like, and I hear it, but I'm like,
okay. So how am I supposed to say it?
Because you say it like it's spelled B-E-N or something. You say Bonita.
But so you want me to say
Bonita.
Yeah. Bonita.
Or Bonita. But you don't have to say so hard. But but you say Bonita. I don't know how to say it. But
Bonita.
You're still saying it. It's okay though. It's okay.
No, I'm gonna get it right then. So this seems to be an issue that I didn't realize was there.
I know. I probably should have. I should have said this off camera or whatever. But
I'm gonna fix it.
Now that I heard you say my name, I was like, ooh, I forgot to tell you.
So I've said it like that for
a while. I didn't notice it until we started doing the podcast, because now I'm hearing it and I'm like,
because I've known you now for what?
Yeah, like that's not my
6
name.
6 years or so, and I've been saying it like that. Okay, well, you all got to see the behind the scenes. So we've learned how to say Miss Love's name correctly. It is
still can't say it.
Bonita.
Okay.
Bonita Applebaum.
You're trying it too hard now. Now you're trying to.
No. The Tribe Called Quest song, Bonita Apple. That's just my jam. How was I saying that? Bonita Apple. Well, it's a Spanish word for what? Bonita is. What is Bonita
pretty
in Spanish?
Beautiful, yeah. But I mean, you don't have to put an accent on it. Yeah, but never mind. Yeah.
All right. Anyway, since Bonita's already derailed the podcast, the goal is to make sure that we get one of these out every week, right? And so we're going to make sure that we do that, and we're going to keep bringing incredible guests. And the guests won't always be necessarily real estate related. We really want to strive in 2025 to help everybody get to a point where they're living their best life, right? And so if we can bring on people who can talk about what they're doing and as they're living their best lives, we want to bring that information to you. And so that is really going to be the focus of 2025. Now, we are real estate professionals, and that's what we do. And so many of the people that we come across are these exceptional real estate professionals. And so we will always have them as a part of what we're doing. And today our special guest is absolutely this is one of the best in the entire industry, but she is very low key. She does not do a bunch of, hey, look at me, I did this, I did that. I mean, you would have to really know that she's doing things like this, because she just keeps it quiet, right? She's got a family, 5 kids, I believe.
4. Don't give me no more.
Okay.
I thought it was 5.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, 4. I'm sorry.
Say it again. 4.
Yeah, 4 kids. Let me correct that. She doesn't even want that in the atmosphere.
No,
so it's
don't
4
put that
kids.
Out there.
And what are the ages again?
I have a 15, 12, 7, and 1. That's
15,
crazy,
12,
right?
7, and 1.
I'm all over the place.
Yeah.
Teenagers to a newborn.
Right.
It's crazy.
Right.
We could add one more for the newborn to have a little.
Yeah, no.
A little sidekick.
Yeah. Have one more.
Real estate, my clients' real estate babies are enough.
Right.
When I see them, that's more than enough. That's the 5th one.
Okay. The client's kids
your kids are my babies. So
okay. Well, very good, very good. So let me kind of tell you about Janet. Last year, so 2024, we're in 2025 now, closed 70 transactions for a volume of $24 million. $24 million. And if for those of you who don't know, you're kind of just hearing these numbers, the average real estate agent, because if y'all just watch TV and you're just looking at selling Sunset and all this stuff. You don't have a real idea about how this really works. But the average real estate agent only sells about, what is the number? It's 4 to 7 houses a year.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's really less than that. If you take all of the licensed people, it's really less than that. In fact, I think I saw a number that says 75% of people who have a license sold 0 to 1 houses, 0 to 1 home.
I saw that
last year.
That's crazy.
Right?
That's sad.
But then here
is.
we've got some people, and it's very few, so I'm saying some people, like it happens a lot. And then you've got this very rarefied air that Janet is in, where you're closing 70 transactions. She closed 70 transactions this year for $24 million. Last year she closed 75 deals. What was your 17 million?
17 million.
So 5 fewer houses, but $7 million more in
crazy.
volume. So she's worked on her per deal volume, and that pays off. So yeah, I trade out 5 transactions for $7 more million. But here's the deal. So we have somebody like Janet on who has a family. She's got a husband. She got 4 kids. One of them is a baby, and she's doing this kind of production while everybody else finds an excuse why I can't do this or why I can only do that. Janet just gets stuff done, right? And here's the thing I also noticed about her and why I wanted to make sure she was on here today. Janet she doesn't cherry pick. She has clients. I'll come in here sometimes. She's here at 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night, meeting with somebody who probably didn't even think they could ever buy a house. And she's here consulting with them, getting them in position to make a home purchase, something that is going to be very pivotal to their lives and something that they may not have thought was something that could happen. But she is able to find these people, instill in them this belief that this is something that they can do, and they get it done. And so while there's a whole bunch of real estate agents out there like, I don't know what's going on in the market, interest rates, I need to go find another job, Janet gets it done. And there's so many people out there who need somebody to help them get it done. I want to buy a house. I want to be a homeowner, right? I need to sell my house because I'm doing something else. Well, the agent who blocks out all the other stuff and just makes it happen, the rewards are there. And so I get so many people asking, hey, I want to go into real estate. I want to be a real estate agent. I'm like, okay, that's cool. But it's not, if it's just watching Selling Sunset, that ain't what this is, right? You got to be somebody who is about putting in the work. And there are a lot of rewards that go with it, but you have to put in the work. And so I thought it would be great for Bonita and I to have a conversation today with our special guest, Miss Janet Vega. So, Janet, welcome to the program today.
Thank you so much. Yeah. I am so excited to be here. I've seen that before, and I'm like, you guys do amazing, because I feel like a lot of agents need to hear all of this and need to hear other agents inspire them. So this is definitely, great for you guys to invite me and let me tell my story.
No, listen, we're happy to have you. Yeah, this is amazing. And the thing is, too, when we meet personalities like yours, because, there's some people who they really want everybody to know, okay, I'm a big deal. I do all this stuff. That's not you. We had to pull you in to do this, right? Yeah. But here's the cool thing about it. Anybody who stops down and asks you questions about, hey, I want to do this, I want to be like that, you have no problem, no hesitation in helping them. You will provide, you're not one of those, hey, I'm not going to give my secrets away and all this stuff. That's not you at all. You're like, hey, it's enough business out here for all of us, so truly. I don't mind sharing it. So I thought, okay, well, let's get Janet on so she can share some of this stuff. And so I'm glad you're able to do it.
No, thank you.
And we got you in just before Snowmageddon, which is supposed to go down
tomorrow, right?
Tomorrow, allegedly.
Yeah.
It needs to
It
needs to be all out of the way by Friday, though, because we have a very big football game going on Friday that I don't need any issues with.
So I guess I'm lost. Who's playing Friday?
She probably thinking NFL. She don't know what's going on Friday.
College football semifinals. Oh. Texas Longhorns and Ohio State.
Oh, that's a big deal.
That's a huge deal. That's a very big deal.
Well, definitely I'm going to have to watch that.
Yeah, definitely get that in. And so, Janet, let's kind of start at the beginning for you, because you've only been in real estate for 4 years. Most people would hear a volume like 24 million and 70 transactions and would think you've been doing this forever and a day.
Yeah.
But it's only been 4 years.
4 years.
And you got into it. The pandemic forced you into this. And so you want to talk about how you got into real estate in the first place?
Yeah. So actually, it was during COVID season. I was working as a manager for a bank for 12 years, and I was really content. I was happy with there. I would get my PTO. I was there so long that I had 6 weeks of paid time off, and I just thought it couldn't get any better than that.
Right.
Then COVID happened, and I, just like a lot of other families, we felt it. Our store got closed down. I had to let go of a lot of employees, and they let us know when our last day was going to be for the company. And that's when I had a rude awakening, and I started thinking, well, what am I going to do? Like, do I start applying at other banks? And my sister-in-law actually came to my house, and we were just randomly talking, and she's in real estate. And she's like, you would be amazing in real estate. She's like, why haven't you, thought about that? And I'm like, I don't know, I don't know how to sell a house. I don't know how to, get clients approved. I don't know none of that. And she's like, it's so easy. She's like, I can show you the ropes. And she's, she was in it for like 2 years before she told me about it. And so I was like, you know what? It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt to try it. I started going to Champions. And crazy enough, once I got my license, my job actually offered me a promotion.
Oh, really?
Yes, they offered me a promotion, but I had already started doing real estate, and I just couldn't see myself letting it go. Like I told my husband one day, I was like, I was born for this.
Okay.
I was born for this. Like it's not really the glamorous, because I feel like real estate, it's been so glamorous on social media and, TV, because it's really not like that. Like I've had days where I've cried if a deal falls through, because I feel the emotion of the client.
Sure. And
I want it just as much as they want it. So when I don't get them to the closing table, I feel like I'm failing them. So it every client to me is like, my babies. Like I feel like I have to like walk them through the process. They have to fully understand what they're getting into. And as excited as they are, I get excited too. So I couldn't let myself, go back into the banking industry, and I saw myself into real estate, and I kept at it. It was just the best decision for me, and crazy enough, when I got into real estate, I started in a small boutique, and, there was no, leads or referrals or anything. I really had to go out there and work like it was a 9-to-5 job. And to me, it was just like there was no plan B. So the way I did it, I would go out and pass out my business cards. I would make sure that everybody knew that I was doing real estate. So 9 to 5, I would go to grocery stores. I would go to Target, Marshalls, every store that you can think of to pass out my business card.
Now, you just said you're not outgoing, but now I think about it.
I am not, but I think how my parents are, and funny enough, I'm going to say it this way, but I'm a true hustler. Like, I'm a true hustler. Like, I wake up watching motivational videos. I wake up telling myself, like, you're going to do this. You got this. Like, you believe in yourself. And sometimes, like, I'll watch videos and I'll be, like, in the car, like a baby crying and just like it's a hard thing to battle, every day, because you will compare yourself. In real estate, I think that's the hard part, that you can be so successful and you'll still find a way to compare yourself to another agent that you think is doing more than you. But you have to realize that you're doing more than enough, and you're doing what you can do. And as long as you know within you that you're putting everything, in the line, and you're doing as much as you possibly can, then you're being as successful as you possibly can be. So you shouldn't be so hard on yourself. But I am a little bit, I'm not going to lie. Sometimes it takes me, putting a motivational song saying, I got this, I'm going to go talk to these, because I do get shy, and I do get afraid for someone to turn me down. I think we're all natural human beings. We're going to get fear, of people saying no. But then I think about it, I'm like, if they say no, someone else will say yes. And that's just how real estate is. But I've kind of found my tweaks in that to make sure that they don't say no.
Okay.
She doesn't take no for an answer.
I've had to learn how to approach people, and and I've done like a lot of like courses on YouTube where it teaches you how to approach people. And that's really what has helped me to be able to overcome all of that obstacles. So
I want to talk more about that. But first, though, when you transitioned into real estate out of the banking industry, after they were about to give you a promotion, you decided to not keep that safety net, because most people may not know. Well, I find a lot of people don't understand in real estate, you only get paid when you close on a house, right?
I don't think a lot of people know
I don't think
A lot of
a lot of them don't know
They
that.
don't.
They think there's a salary or something like
something.
that. But no, unless they close on a house, there's no paycheck.
You could be working a client for 6-7 months, and if
Gas,
they don't end up closing,
time,
it's
everything.
It's
Somebody asked me one time, "Oh, do you get compensated like for your gas?" Like, no, I'm like, no, we don't get.
Yeah.
They just don't know, right? And I get it. They wouldn't know, because especially if you work a regular 9 to 5, you go to work and there's a check you get at a certain point, whether it's 1st and 15th or whatever. And so to leave that security of that 1st and 15th situation, how do you do that? How did you process that? What gave you the confidence to go do that? Because now I would imagine, your husband's working, but that income that guaranteed part of the income is gone. So now it's on you to do your thing.
It is really hard. And I think that's why I say that you can't have a plan B in this industry, because if you think of a plan B, you won't be a go-getter and you won't make things happen. So for me, I woke up in the morning telling myself there's no plan B. Like, you have to go out there and get it. And like so many others, it is a fear because, right now everything's so expensive. You can't go to a grocery shop without spending $200, $300 on food. Everything is just so expensive. And so I told myself I need to make sure that I am pushing myself out there, making sure I'm working 9 to 5 like any other job, because a lot of times agents will wait for a client to come to them. I didn't do that. I actually went out there and went for my business. I was looking for business constantly. And now within the 4 years, I can thankfully say that it's been paying off. Now I'm a lot more referral based, but it doesn't happen that way in the beginning. You have to start letting people trust you. And, that's the biggest thing when I got into real estate. That's what really pushed me to not do banking anymore, because I was like, I can't do 2 things at the same time. First and foremost, I can't give my clients my divided attention. And I think that in real estate, you have to be full time in order for you to be able to be there in everything that they need. Like, if they call, clients need to know what's going on. And if you're working another job or, you're only part time, you can't be able to assess their needs when they need it at that time. So that was super important to me when making that decision. I was like, I can't see myself doing it part-time and then being a horrible agent and they feel like they didn't get the full service.
Right.
If I feel like every client can truly say they get a full experience from me, from top to bottom. Like, I do a buyer's consultation, and that's how we start the relationship. Like, it's like a marriage. I'm gonna let you know what I need. You're gonna let me know what you need, and we're gonna make sure we go smooth selling from here. And that's how I start everything with my clients.
So you get into the business. You don't have a client base yet. You're just starting. And so you're telling me that you took business cards, and you explained this to me one day. You even had a set number of business cards you would take out with you at the start of the day, and you had a number like you couldn't finish until all those were gone. And so.
It's so crazy to think now. So I will say the banking industry helped me for that aspect, because I wouldn't know what I know now if I didn't go through. Because I sometimes I think about it. I'm like, I wish I got into real estate so head on. I would be so much better off. But then I think about it and I'm like, well, that is really what fed me where I'm at now. Because I went into the banking industry learning goals and how to, set numbers for myself that really taught me what I needed to do in real estate. Like, some people don't even know what their goal is for the year. And I have a board and I have numbers and I have a set thing that tells me, like, okay, this is what I have to meet and this is how I'm going to achieve that goal. And so what I would do is I actually ordered through Vistaprint my business cards. So it's really cheap. You know, I even found a coupon if you want to get cards there. But I would order my business cards, and I would order 1,000 at a time. That's how crazy it was for me. Like I would order 1,000 at a time, and per day I had to pass out 25 business cards.
Okay.
25.
Okay.
And I've had clients reach out to me. I've actually closed clients that have met me at a gas station. I've closed clients that met me at Target, at Burlington. So I've had a lot of different type of clientele. And that's really how I started. And now I'm really referral based. Like it's really paid off, because I have clients that I've closed that maybe I'm at a gas station, and then they'll tell me, well, hey, my brother actually wants to sell. And that actually happened to me the other day. My brother wants to sell his house in Fort Worth, and he wants to buy a ranch. And so I'll go out there and meet with them. And I really feel like that really paid off where I'm at now.
Yeah.
In terms of my
so
business.
what did that look like? So you have your 25 cards, and you go, whether it's at the gas station, you're at the grocery store. How does that
Did you
happen?
have like a set place, or do you just
I will say it's a feeling.
Okay.
It's a feeling I would have. Like I wouldn't just give my business card to any random person. It didn't work that way. Actually, I would go into the store so I wouldn't get kicked out. I would go into the store, and I would have a cart. And I would put a few things in the cart, acting like I'm shopping, okay? Because you can't get kicked out, first and foremost, okay? So I would get my cart, and I would go down the aisles, and I would see if I would see, like my favorite were like families. Like I would, because I could interact with them. I could interact with the babies. And so I would find my client that I think that would be perfect for me, that I would suit them and they would suit me.
Okay.
And I would give them my business card. And before giving them my business card, I would say something about maybe like, oh my God, your shirt is so pretty, or your baby's so cute. People feel a little bit more at ease when you compliment them.
Right.
And people love to hear compliments. So that's how I would start my conversation with them. I would be like, your shirt is so pretty. Where did you get it? It's really nice. And they'd be like, oh, by the way, and then I would start, then right there, I'm like, okay, once I feel that they feel warmed up to me, then I'll be like, oh, by the way, just to let you know, I'm a real estate agent, and here's my business card in case you have any friends or family that want to buy a house, or I have a lot of promotions with new builds. And I would never tell them like in case you want to buy a house. I would say in case you have friends or family. Gotcha. And I would always start it that way. And crazy enough, they'd be like, oh, well, I actually wanted to buy a house.
Okay.
And before I leave the conversation, I get their number. I get their number. I don't wait for them to call me. I would get their number. Now, if I felt like they said thank you and yes, I would just give them my card. But if I felt like some type of interest at any point of the conversation, then I'm like, hey, well, give me your number, and I'm going to send you some details. That way you can start reading upon it. And that just kind of secures for me to be able to follow up with the client.
You've gotten their permission to follow up.
They
Exactly.
feel that I'm a friend now. I got permission, and hey, now we're going to conversate. So I would get their number, and they would get my business card. And, that really was like the best thing that I could ever do in my business. That's really what got me going. I think my first year in real estate, I closed $6 million. First year.
In your first year.
I was going to ask what you did your first year. Okay.
Yeah. And so, but it was still hard at the same time, because it was passing out business cards. I didn't have not one single family member close. I think in these 4 years that I've been in real estate, I maybe closed 3 family members.
Okay.
And one was my brother.
Okay.
so not many, but at the same time, I love that, because I feel like a lot of times strangers support your business a lot more. And then at the same time, it's a stranger. They, we're building that relationship. Sometimes when it's friends and family, they expect a different type of they want and want and want more. So it's just different. But yeah, I've only closed. Yeah.
Well,
it's crazy.
Now, here's what's very interesting about that. So you go in and you find these people. There's a feeling. You kind of see this family like, okay, this is cool. You pass out the cards. And so how long with you doing the 20? So in the morning you would say, okay, I've got these 25 cards.
Yeah.
I got to pass these out. How long into the day does it take to get rid of 25 cards?
Some days were faster than others. I actually kind of learned the days to go to certain stores.
Okay.
Like for instance, like Wednesdays, Ross would, get a lot of more of their stuff, their inventory. And so I knew people would be single moms or like, moms with their kids, the babies, they're going to go shop at that time.
Okay.
And so I had specific times for certain days and for certain stores. And crazy enough, if I didn't meet the goal, like I would go pick up my kids from school, and then in the afternoon I would go to Target. That is like the hot place.
I was going to say, I was going to ask you, I was like,
Target.
do you have like certain, because I heard Ross, Target.
Yes, let me tell you, Target has brought me a lot of business.
Okay.
Yeah, Target. In the evenings, people either go get snacks or they've gotten out of work and they're, trying to, get groceries for the house. And Target, and I mean, I've done quite some business at Walmart too, but it's in the
Target,
evenings it's just the time to go. Yeah, for sure. And so a lot of my time would go spent on going to stores. And, when I say at the gas station, I was pumping gas and the lady was pumping gas next to me.
Okay.
And she had kids in the car, and like, I don't know, she just smiled at me, and I felt like, okay,
That's his right.
That's the signal right there.
that's my signal.
Okay.
I'm like, you want to talk. So, and I always make sure that in my car or in my wallet, because I don't really carry purses, but in my car or my wallet, I'm always stacked up with cards.
Right.
Like I always have to have business cards, and I still do it out of habit, even though I don't do it as much, passing out cards, but I still do it out of habit. And my kids already know. We'll be at the store, we'll be like shopping, and they're like, oh, mom's just doing her job.
She's just doing her thing.
And sometimes they'll tell me, they're like, Mom, hey, like, I think they need your card.
Okay, so now they've learned how to identify.
Yeah, they'll see a family, or they'll be like, Mom, they need your card. Go ahead, do your thing.
Okay.
Yeah, so
okay, you got
it's a family business now.
Absolutely. And so one of the things I've noticed, so when I would come in from time to time and see you in here and you're working with the clients, it looks like you don't allow, I shouldn't say don't allow, but you don't put them in a situation where this is somebody new to this whole process. You don't ever assume that they don't need your assistance. It's almost like you bring them in and you want to make sure, okay, I'm going to get you guys started properly. So if I'm sending you over to the lender to get pre-approved, I'm not just sending you out there blind. We're going to get your stuff together first and then get that to the lender. Is that what I was seeing?
Yeah, so I absolutely think it's fundamental to have a buyer's consultation. That for me is like, for sure, whether it's over the phone or in person. I really like to do them in person because I want them to bring their documentation. And with the questions that I assess with them, I already know if we're going to be prepared to do an application, or if we need to go and talk to a credit specialist, or we need maybe a co-signer. Like at that time, then I know where I need to direct myself. And that actually does help us a lot, because if I send a client to do an application, first and foremost, it might take them a while to do the application because they're nervous. They don't know how to answer some of these questions. But at the same time, if they get declined, then they get discouraged and they don't want to continue the process.
Right.
Or they might take a while to continue the process. So to avoid all of that, and to make sure that I am walking them through the whole process and being that support system for them, I offer that buyer's consultation so that we can, first and foremost, they know who they're working with. They feel comfortable with me. And I've already started establishing that relationship to where they trust and let me know all this information in order for me to make sure. And especially, I think that helps a lot too, because I used to be in the banking industry. So I know what lenders are looking for. And so at that point, then I assess the situation and I'm like, okay, this is what we actually need to do. And if you trust me and you let me guide you, we're going to get there and we're going to be able to get approved eventually, and we can get you into a home.
Exactly.
So that's important.
And I can tell as you're there with them, a lot of the preliminary work that probably would cost the lender a little extra time, you've kind of helped expedite that process, because now when you've handed them over, you already kind of have an idea of this person, if they can actually be able to do this or not, if they need some extra work. But you're handing over to the lender something closer to a finished product that they can now take and and move it along much faster. And so, and the rapport has been built too. There's a lot of rapport that's built as you're sitting there helping them get positioned to go do that. And so, but what a lot of people would hear in this, when I'm saying that you're working with these folks, a lot of people want just kind of the ready-made client. Okay, I got all this money in the bank and blah, 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 and I know how this works.
Yeah.
I want to go put a contract on a house. And they get frustrated when those clients don't just show up. And what they don't understand, most clients are not there. That's not, they're not that ready. It takes somebody who can, first of all, convince them that this is something you really need to look into and you can do, and then hold their hand to the point where they're confident enough to go for it. And so when people hear that Janet closed 75 or 70 transactions, with the majority of those people being people you had to help through the process, they're like, how does she have time to do it? How does she do that? Because most people don't feel like that it's such a time-consuming thing that they can't close that many deals, and it's too much work to work with that clientele. When I think it is the best clientele, because birds of a feather flock together. So as you've helped this person do it, they've got a whole bunch of other people who want to do the same thing, and you're the person who made it happen. So they send everybody to you. Everybody comes looking for you. And so I think that's what it just allows you to then close 75, 70, 80, 90 transactions. But I don't think people understand that the work necessary for this thing pays off more than just the time being spent right there. It's a multiplier, right? You're helping this person. It might take a little longer than just Joe who's ready.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of business that comes out of taking that time.
It does. And I think that's really why I am referral based now, because my clients are literally working for me. They're really telling their friends and family, like, you do not know the type of agent that's helping me. And they'll share their experience. They're like, I had an agent, they sent me the application and they told me I got declined. And then my client is telling them, oh, well, I actually met with my agent. They helped me apply with the lender and they walked me through the whole process. Like, that's two different experiences. So when they hear that, they're like, oh, well, I want that too. I want someone to be able to guide me. I want someone to tell me, even if I'm not ready yet, what do I need to be able to be ready? And that's the difference between me and so many other agents, that, I want to be able to provide that to my clients, and I want to make sure that they have all of me and that they feel that I am not just, feed them off to the lender and hey, if you come back approved, or if you don't, then let me know. Exactly. It just doesn't work that way for me. And to me, it's super important, because I feel that, being Hispanic and having parents that, speak ultimately like more Spanish than anything, I used to have to help my parents fill out documentation and help them when they go to the bank to translate. And so when I see my clients coming in, I feel like it's kind of basically like my parents. I'm like, okay, let me guide you. Let me walk you through what you need, because you can buy a house, and I'm going to show you can buy a house. But you just need to trust me and make sure that you do these things. And I have like clients that come, they're not ready. I actually have an action plan. Like, we write down exactly what they need to do, and I do follow-ups. And, sometimes they might not be ready right now, but in, 6 months, they'll reach out to me and we can get them approved. So
what are some of the questions that you ask when you have your consultation, just to see, like, the preliminary questions, just to see, are they ready or not? And then if they're not, like, what's the next, like,
so I basically write everything down. I'm like, okay, what do you pay monthly? That will tell me a lot. What do you pay monthly? When did you start your credit? How's your credit looking? We pull up Credit Karma, even though it's not like 100% accurate. Like, we want to make sure we kind of review it. And then I look at their job history. I look at their tax documents, and then I look at their pay stubs to ensure that, ultimately, like, can they afford this, like what they're wanting. And we talked about certain areas that they're wanting to live, because that tells me a lot too, like, where's our budget going to be. So I have those questions to ask them. And if they tell me, I don't know where my credit is, like 60% of people that don't know where their credit is because they need help with working on their credit. Mm-hmm. They, ultimately, if you have good credit, you're going to let everybody know you have good credit.
Well, and if you have, it kind of goes hand in hand because you are diligent and kind of monitoring it. So if you have, somebody striving for good credit, you're paying attention to it a little bit more. Yeah. And so that's why they seem to know more.
And more than anything, I think the hard part is that, I see it this way. I feel like clients are not educated because we weren't educated in school. Like nobody was told how to work on credit. Sure. No one told you what you needed to do to make sure, or pay your stuff on time. Some clients were like, oh, well, I'll just stop paying. I just can't keep paying. Like, I'm just going to stop paying. Right. They don't know any better than that. And so that's where us as, their agents, we need to educate them to let them know, hey, even if you just make the minimum payment until you can get back on your feet, just make sure you're staying on top of it so that it doesn't damage your credit. Because even with just one hit that they have on their credit, that can drop them 50, 60 points. Sure. And it's hard to get back up on, with credit, because they haven't done the things that they need to do to make that score go back up. So those are conversations that I like to have with them. And on top of that, it's less of a client leaving me if they come and meet with me, because I've already built that rapport and I built that relationship. So now, even if someone else tells them about another agent, or they see another agent on social media, because I feel like everybody's an agent now these days.
Right.
I feel like I go on Facebook or Instagram and everybody's an agent. Like, I see homes everywhere. So they know that they have the agent that's going to take them to the closing table. They know they have an agent that's going to guide them through the process. And I'm involved through everything. When I say I'm involved, I'm involved. I, do their buyer's consultation. If it's new construction, I go to the orientation, inspections. I do it all. Like, I just want to make sure they get the full experience from start to finish. And that just allows me to build that relationship to where when we do, end up closing, they're like, I want to tell everybody. And especially because when someone buys a home, that's the first thing they do. They tell everybody they bought a home. So I want to make sure they also tell them about that experience they had with me.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love it. Yeah. When the closing takes place, and I know that because now you're more referral based, you have the closing, and then a lot of times we'll see. Y'all hear me criticize this all the time, that when people agent closes on a house and they pose with the same darn picture that everybody does with the little cardboard key and maybe a little boomerang thing where they kind of shake it and just close on the house. That's cool, but I don't know that that's very memorable. I think things have to be done in a way that is, the fact that they're closing is memorable enough. But I think you have to really kind of personalize it a little bit and make it something that's a little more a unique experience. Like, it is a Janet Vega closing versus just anybody else's closing. So is there anything you do a little bit differently with once it closes or after the closing that you do with the client?
Yes. So from the morning to the very end, I want them to feel special. So I have two things that I like to do. So in the morning, I will get them a Starbucks gift card, and I'm like, hey, a coffee, Starbucks on me. Let's start your day fresh, your closing day, let's celebrate. And then I like their first dinner on me. So their first dinner's on me. So, and that's just one out of the things, I like to decorate their house. And through our conversation, I talk to them about things that they want in their home or things that they like, and that kind of feeds me some information to be able to give them something. And it doesn't matter whether you buy or sell, all my clients get something because I feel like, it's a thank you from me. And then especially if, I try to give like an actual gift that they're going to use so that maybe it's on the table and they think of it, they like, Janet gave me that, you know? And so I try to be as memorable as I possibly can. It's an important transaction, and not everybody can do it. Right. There's clients that will come to me that, I probably have maybe during a week, I probably have maybe 10 to 15 buyer's consultations. And out of those, maybe 8 will qualify. And so it is challenging, because I'm trying to make sure that those clients have, that feeling of like, okay, I made it. Like I made it to the closing table, and it's important. So
I like that. Yeah. And now, 10 to 15 of those a week.
Yes.
How long is a typical buyer's consultation?
So it's in between, because so I know how serious a person is based on what I offer them and what they're willing to do. So if I say I'm going to offer you a buyer's consultation and they're like, oh, well, let's just do it over the phone. And because I tell them, I'm like, hey, we can do it in person. And I go and I dive deep. You bring your documentation. We kind of figure out like where you're at. And over the phone, you can't get that, like, because you're just telling me certain information. So it's not the same. And so if a client takes their time out of their day to come and meet with me, I'm like, okay, they're on board. Right. They want to buy a house.
Right.
And so I make sure that goes a little bit more further in. So a buyer's consultation can be anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour. That's normally where I track it. Okay. If it's a couple, it definitely going to take me an hour, because I want to make sure that I'm reviewing their information together. Right. Because sometimes they'll decide to, apply for the house together, or maybe, just him. I just want to make sure that I'm getting the full picture on where we stand. Because if we're going to get the pre-approval, not that we're going to max out our budget, but, they can know exactly what they qualify for.
Gotcha.
So that's important.
That's good. The buyer's consult, which, again, a lot of agents will say, well, this, for instance, if it was a lead came to them and they're going to go meet the person for the first time at the property or something like that. I still think there's a time that a formal buyer's orientation can still be done, even if you meet them at the house for the first time. I think before you continue on, that might be the intro where y'all meet at the house, but I do think there still needs to be another formal conversation. That
it's just while you're looking at the house, I can't dive deep. Like I can't look at your paperwork, and I can't ask you certain questions. Like, I'm going to get your interest on what you like and what you don't like about the home. Right. But if I'm actually meeting with you and sitting down, like I'm giving you my undivided attention, you're giving me your undivided attention. And I just feel like it doesn't get any better than that when it comes to building that relationship. And, I do meet certain clients first, at the house. If it's like just, someone that's interested and they're like, hey, I want to see this house. But then after that, in order for us to move forward, I need to be able to have that buyer's consultation to make sure that, they're not wasting their time looking at houses if we, for whatever reason, can't qualify for that,
Do
so that's
you have
important.
Like an assistant? Are you or I'm sure maybe a transaction coordinator?
I don't have anything.
Are you doing not even a transaction coordinator?
No.
You're doing all your paperwork and everything from start to finish with 70.
And I think probably Monument back office probably doesn't like me
because you're putting everything in last minute. Like
they call me today and they're like, "Hey, we have a check," and I haven't even done my CDA.
Oh my gosh!
But to be honest with you, I know I need a transaction coordinator, and
just
I told,
that,
and to be honest, I have thought about making a team. I'm not gonna lie. I told my husband, I'm like, but I would have to be really picky with who I work with on an agent level, because if you're gonna be working with me, you're a representation of me, and I don't want you to, think this is just a part-time or not show up to your clients, because then it makes it look like that is me as well, because we're a team. So I want to make sure that if I do ever decide to create a team, that I do that. But I don't have a transaction coordinator. I don't have a showing agent.
That's going to make your life so much easier. Just the paperwork is going to make your life so much
and
easier.
I actually have friends that are real estate agents too, and they have transaction coordinators, and they're like, Janet, you're missing out.
You really are.
You're missing out. And I probably am. I'm just very OCD with my business. Like, I feel like I hold on to everything, and maybe this year.
You still can. Like, you still have your own files and stuff, but they're just going to make sure everything's going smooth in the background while you're, out at your consultations.
Yeah.
Right. And so they're just an extension of you doing that stuff. So get your hands off of all that kind of
you have to pay them until it closes. Like,
and trust me, like, I've thought about that. I'm like, because you do need, you ultimately do, like me with 4 kids.
Yeah.
Right.
You got a whole household.
And, really, a lot of people don't know this, but I also take care of my parents. And so, you know, I have their bills that I take care of, and I tell people all the time, I feel like my parents are my kids, because they always call me for everything. Hey, Jen, I have a doctor's appointment. Hey, we got a bill for this. And so, but at the same time, I don't know. I guess
just
it's
a transaction coordinator.
Yeah, I guess I really do need one. I really do. And you know, I've been told so many times, if I want to get to that next level of doing, 30, 50 million of, volume, I do need to let go of some of that stuff that I don't need to be putting in work for.
Right. Yeah. Well, the cool thing about it, though, it does seem like you still make time for your family, hanging out, date nights with your husband. I understand you guys are big concert goers, and we found out that your favorite artist is one Usher Raymond.
Usher,
is that correct?
Yeah.
and so I mean, if a transaction coordinator can get you set up to where you can spend more time at Usher concerts and things like that.
Why not, right?
Yeah, right. So Usher, which you told me your favorite genre is more Mexican music, but Usher is not that. What is it about Usher? What's the Usher situation?
I think it just brings me back to my childhood memories.
Okay.
Like, you're not going through that breakup, but you feel like you're going through that breakup. You're like, let it go, and like it's just like,
or you got it bad.
Yeah, it just gets you back into that feel that you had, And I tell my husband all the time, and the songs come on, and I'm like just singing them in the car, and he's like, babe. And he's like, well, who made you feel this way?
Who you thinking about right now?
But honestly, it just brings me back to my childhood memories, and it's just like the best feeling. And so does Mexican music. My parents are super, super Mexican. And, I remember when we were kids, my mom would be cleaning, and she would have her Mexican music all the way up. We could hear it from the corner of the street, and like they were just that vibe, And so when I listen to Mexican music, it just brings me back to like just my culture overall.
And where did you grow up? Are you from the Dallas area?
So I lived in Dallas my whole life. Okay. I actually lived, in DeSoto. We started in DeSoto, but I actually born in Mexico. Okay. I've been here since I was 2. Okay. Gotcha. Crazy enough. Yeah, my dad got us papers when we were 2. I was a resident, and but I tell my parents all the time, when Trump became president, I was like, and they're talking about all this deportation stuff. Right. I'm like, I could never go back to Mexico. And my husband thought he had to take care of me. He's like, well, how can I help you get papers? I'm like, dude, I already have papers. You're not going to help me get papers. I already have papers.
You're like, I'm good there. I'm good.
Right. But it, honestly, like that just like instills in me. And it's crazy enough, when we were kids, we would go to Mexico all the time. And like my grandma passed away maybe like, I think it was like 7 years ago, and that's the last time I've been. And I guess just with everything that's going on, I just get scared to take my kids. I just think of all the crime and everything. Right. And maybe it's not meant to be that bad the way they make it seem on social media, but I just get so scared. I won't go. Gotcha. And it's been so long.
Yeah. Besides concerts, what else? Like, what do you do for fun, or like?
So we're big foodies. Like, we love food. Like, I think I tell my husband, I think in my past life I was probably like a really big fat girl because like I'll eat food and it makes me happy. It makes me truly happy. Yeah. Like if I'm stressed out, I'll have it. Funny enough, like I'm trying to let go of soda. Okay. And if I'm stressed out, I'll have a Sunkist, and I'm like, okay, I feel so much better.
Sunkist,
or so much sugar.
Or I'll have a taco with a Coke, a Mexican Coke. Okay. And I'm like, okay, all my problems have gone away.
Listen, that Coke hits hard. That Coke is,
especially if it has
ice cold. Oh, man.
First drink. Me and my husband will be in the car, and he's like, babe, I know you've gone through a lot. Take the first drink. Take the first drink. And I'm like,
because it gives you a little jolt too. It's like it hits hard. You're like, whoa. Yes. Especially when it's ice cold.
It doesn't get any better than that. And there's this little small taco place in Oak Cliff, and me and my husband will go. Man,
what's the name?
I was gonna say,
it's called El Paisa, and it's like right next to a little bit past Gloria's, and it's like really small. You'll miss it if you drive too fast.
So it's in
really
Bishop
small.
Arts.
It's close to Bishop Arts, and like if we have time, we'll go out there because it gets really packed. You got to go early on because weekends there's always going to be a line. We've been where there's like an hour or two wait, and so you know, with being in real estate, we just don't have time to be waiting that long. So we try to go like as early or like as late as possible so that we catch it. El Paisa. Yeah, and they're so freaking good. So So that's one thing about me. Like if we're not at concerts, I'm always eating.
Yeah, right. So you got all the good. So you have all.
What's so good? Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say you got all the good restaurant recommendations.
Oh my God, let me tell you.
What's your top 3?
So it's crazy enough. Like I've gone to like all these fancy restaurants with my friends. Like that's their thing. They love to try new spots, and I just tag along because they're my friends. But to be honest with you, I like mom pop shops. Like I love to, especially knowing that it's going to like a older family.
It's a local small business.
You're actually helping them by showing up.
I feel like I'm helping them. Not too long ago, I think I even posted on my stories. I was talking about Moonwalk in Cedar Hill. It's like a mom pop shop. Like I know the owners. And once a week we have to get Moonwalk because my kids love the lo mein there. And so once a week I'll get them Moonwalk. And the other day I went and they had a gift for me. And I was telling my husband, I'm like, I have never smiled so hard over a gift. And it was just like the thought, you know. And so I tell my husband, I'm like, to me, I like to support, you know, and I love for them to see me, especially like corn in a cup, like elotes, fire. Like that, I could have that all day. So, you know, when I'm not out there hustling, making things happen for clients, I'm out there eating. You might catch me at a taco shop.
Right. There's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that. You know, but hey, new year, new me, I'm trying to cut back. I told myself I'm not going to have as much soda. I'm not going to have as much tacos. We want to get a slim body this year, you know? Gosh. Like we got to let go of the baby weight.
I'm about to say you got a baby. Yeah, you look great.
And honestly, I feel like us as women, we're so hard on ourselves. Like we feel that we have to get back on track. Like you see all these people posting
snapbacks, and you got to compare yourself on social media.
Man, it's hard. And
you got the Ozempic and everything.
You hear people get on these shots, and it's truly hard. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like I've had surgery before I had my son. You know, like I told my husband, I'm like, hey, you know, I want to get my body done, and so I've had surgery before. I did lipo, and now I'm like, okay, I got to do it on my own. I can't. You know, I'm older. I can't keep having surgery. So now I have to like really get in the gym and really work out. And so this year, I think I've learned that, you know, our health is wealth. And so I want to be better with my health. I want to be better at, you know, taking care of myself because I take care of everybody else around me. Like, you know, if you call me, you know, you're going to get me. I don't know if it's just me, but it's so hard for me to say no to people. And so I'm always, and that's why I tell people don't complain if I'm late, because I'm gonna be late, because I'm telling everybody yes, and I you know, and the thing I think is just my mindset. Like I feel like if you ask me, it's because you need me, so I'm always gonna say yes, and so that's the hard part, you know, being on time to everything because I'm just at all places at all times.
You have to be a superwoman, helping to save everybody.
My friends always tell me the wrong time to our dinner because they know I'm gonna be late, and so
they don't realize they've done it so much that you figured it out, and you already know that means okay, I'm good to show up 30 minutes later.
It's crazy. It's a thing now. Like for instance, like my lender had end of the year dinner for us for the top 2 agents, and both the agent and her said at the same time, tell the Janet the wrong time because she's going to be late. And I'm like, you know, that's true. I'm probably going out, you know, and it's crazy because I will be at showings and a client will be like, Janet, what do you think about this house? And I'm like, well, let's add it to the list, even though I got to go meet another person. Dinner reservations. I just don't know how to tell someone.
Oh my gosh.
So I will show up when I show up.
I gotcha.
I just tell them, hey, pre-order, because they know I like to eat, and I might not eat my whole meal. So that's the one thing about me. I won't eat my whole meal, but I like to nitpick on things. Like I like to try different variety of things. Like especially a new restaurant, I'm like, I tell them all the time, bring a lot of sides so we can try them all.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
And so they know that if I don't show up, I'm like, give me especially fancy restaurants. Like I'm too picky, so I'm like, just give me a nice steak, and then get a bunch of sides, and I'm fine. You know, that's more than enough for me.
Well, cool, Janet. This has been good. Now, if you don't mind leaving us with, so if you got, because a lot of people are going to listen to this because they know that you're very successful, and they're going to be like, hey, I want to be like Janet. Janet, is there one thing that you would say, okay, look, above and beyond anything, if you do this, this will help you get on the path of being successful in real estate?
I think whether you're a new agent or a long-term agent, like you've done this for such a long time, if you treat this like a full-time job, and literally like a full-time job, I'm not saying, you know, make a few calls in the morning and then go and clean your house for the rest of the day. I'm talking about full-time, you know, going out, pass out your business cards, make as much contact. And I would say, you know, 25 to me was a lot maybe, but maybe at least meet 10 people a day where you're giving out your business cards, you're talking to them. If you do that, there's no way you cannot be successful. There's just no way, because you are interacting with people, you're building that relationship, and you're finding the ways to be successful in real estate. And I think everything with real estate is consistency. The more consistent you are doing the same thing every single time. So if you say you're going to do an open house, you can't just do it one weekend and the next weekend you're like, oh, it's not working for me, I'm going to stop. There has to be a level of consistency, and you have to do the things right the first time. You can't just say, I'm going to do an open house and not promote it, and then the day of put one sign in the front of the house and think the open house is going to be successful. Just doesn't work that way. You know, so I think in anything that you do, you just have to be super consistent. You have to make sure that you're giving it your all, and that there's no plan B.
Well, that's, you know, if it take anything away from this, there's no plan B. Like
there's no plan B.
You just got to go for it. Make it happen.
Let me tell you, you got to go for it. And, you know, I am a big believer that you can really do anything, especially from what I came from. I've been in Real Producer Magazine. I've been in awards. I've been top, you know, agent, like in my old brokerage, this brokerage. And I think more than anything, I keep telling myself that there's no way that I'm not going to make it. And every morning I wake up, I have like this thing. I have to make my bed. I have to watch a motivational video. That motivational video is going to get me going. Okay. And then I have to tell myself, like, I got this. I got this. And there, and doing those things, there's just no way you can't be not successful. Right. You know? So I think for any new agent that feels that they're struggling, I would say don't give up. I would say make sure you find something that you're good at, that you're being consistent with. For me, it's always been business cards. I feel like business cards, it's like I used to do it. I don't know if you guys ever heard of First Convenience Bank, but I used to work at First Convenience Bank when I was in school. I was getting my degree, and I was working at the bank part-time. And they had this thing where they were inside of Walmart's, and you had to, go out and pass out cards, business cards. And that's where I got the idea.
Gotcha.
That's actually where I got the idea of passing out business cards.
They're not even like fancy cards. Could you
no. Well, now they are, because I want them to get their attention so they feel soft. But they used to be just random cards, and I would just put them like, and also, the days that like I passed 25 and it was early on, I would go and put them in cars at the stores. So I just, anything that you're feeling like if you're not successful, you got to find something that's going to get you back on track.
I love it.
And if you do that, there's no way you can fail. And I feel like we all have something that we're good at. We just got to find it.
Without that. Yeah. So here's the deal. I know a lot of people are like, well, shoot, I want to talk to her. That's who I want to talk to. That needs to be my real estate agent. So Janet, if somebody needs to reach out to you, can you let them know how they can do that?
Oh, man. I've actually gotten a little bit of famous on TikTok. I have like 12,000 followers. You know, so they can follow me on TikTok.
What's your TikTok handle?
Yeah, so it is Janet Vega because the Janet by itself. It was taken, so I couldn't get it. But yeah, so well, you know.
So by the way,
your name is Janet.
Janet is actually Janet, right? But she likes Janet. But Janet Vega is who you are on TikTok.
Yes, that's who I am on TikTok. And then you can follow me on Instagram. Any agent, and anyone can say this, any agent that reaches out to me, I will always respond. Always.
Yes.
I actually have agents that will write me and they're like, man, Janet, I look up to you. And, you know, I tell them all the time, I'm like, everything that I'm doing, you can do too. Exactly. And I have 4 kids. I'm like, if I could do it, I have 4 kids, you know, a lot of responsibility on me. And, you know, you can do it being, you know, just you yourself, you know, like Absolutely. There's just, I think it's just how consistent and how motivated are you to be self-driven, because everything's self-driven. I feel like you have to push yourself. No one's going to get it for you. And as long as you know that, then you can make it happen.
Yeah. And just like as you've told many people before that, you know, especially if they're kind of struggling around, you're like, okay, you might need to also kind of up your brokerage game and come check us out over here at Monument, because that
Monument
helps a lot.
Is the place to be. Yeah. Like I wish I had this early on.
Right.
I wish I knew Monument early on. You know, when I got into Monument, you know, I had 17 million with 75 transactions, and I never once met anyone really from Monument. That first year, I think I just knew you, Al, and Tevin.
Right,
I think it was just you two. And so I didn't know a lot of things that Monument offers. I never worked a lead in my life. And so, I've just been so successful just with my own business. So that's really what has carried me. But I truly do believe that if an agent wants everything, the fruits of business and the real estate career, they need to come to Monument just because they have so much to offer. Like the training is just crazy how much training they give. And, you know, if you're not successful here, it's just because you're just not giving it your all.
Right. Right.
Yeah. What was your, did you tell your Instagram?
Jenna Vega. That is
Jenna Vega. Okay.
Yeah, that one without an H. But
okay, you got Janet on Instagram.
I got Instagram. No one take it. And you know, it's so crazy. I get all the time like people telling me that I should get verified on Instagram and Facebook. I haven't done it, but I should, because sometimes I'll get people that will message me, and they think they're having a full in-depth conversation with me, and I'm like, that's not me.
Right.
I've even had it one time.
Because there's somebody else. I've
even had it on TikTok too. Yeah. Well, they're just impersonating you.
Right.
But I tell clients all the time, I'm like, I'm never gonna offer you my business and ask you for money. Like I've never taken a penny from a client. So I'm like, don't ever think it's me. And I always tell clients or even agents, if you want to connect with me and you want to connect directly with me, you can always give me a call. So in case you do, my phone number is 214-868-5050. But agents, you guys are more than welcome to give me a call too. So
love it.
Yeah.
Awesome. So here's what I didn't do at the very start of this. We want you to always click like. And what are you supposed to click like? And
go ahead right now. Like the video.
Like it.
Or whatever you're listening to.
Right.
Subscribe. Yeah. Share it.
Do all that stuff she's talking about. And we now know we pronounce Bonita. That sounds so country, that Bonita.
Because you're saying it like that. That's why it sounds country. Nobody says Bonita.
I think during this break, you should practice her name. Because you're going to be seeing quite a bit of her. So you need to get it right.
I'll work on it.
New year out.
Yeah.
New year.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thank you, Jen.
Thank you.